NEO has come out firing. They say these allegations, these court cases, this legal action is false. However, sometimes where there is smoke, there is fire. Several class action lawsuits over the past few years by US investors of NEO have come about from investors alleging securities fraud and misleading statements from NEO. A case covering NEO's IPO and subsequent period. Plaintiffs claim NEO, its officers, and its underwriters made false and misleading statements about certain manufacturing facilities. More recently, investors alleged NEO pulled forward revenue via a related party battery asset company called Wuhan Weining Battery Asset Company and overstated its business significantly. Class periods broadly range from 2020 to July 2022. However, a new lawsuit from one of the biggest sovereign wealth funds in the world, I'm talking massive, billions and billions and billions of dollars under management. They allege NEO is still intentionally defrauding investors and lying about its profits and revenue. Here's the full story. YouTube's new algorithm means that you're often not getting all of our videos in your feed. There's 7,500. I'm pretty sure you're probably not seeing a lot of them. In the description, there is a link to our newsletter. Click on that and you can get an update every day of all the latest news in the electric car industry. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. And I should start with this. NEO's share price has crashed, as you can see here. After news of these allegations came about, their stock fell by 10%. However, that's not really all that significant if you look at how much NEO's stock price has fallen over the past 5 years, hitting a high of 62 US dollars. It's now sitting at US $6.80. And a lot of people have lost money. A lot of people are annoyed. And I think NEO is saying, well, you know what? We didn't lie. You just aren't willing to take responsibility for your losses. Now, NEO has responded to this new lawsuit, says it's based on false allegations from 3 years ago. They say this matter is not a newly occurring incident, nor is it directed at NEO's recent operational performance. And NEO went on to say that the incident stems from a short selling report released in June 2022, which contained numerous errors, unfounded speculations, and misleading conclusions. This all started back in June of 2022 when a short selling report released in that month claimed that NEO has set up what is essentially a shell company. Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund, GIC Private Limited, has sued NEO over disputes regarding the Chinese electric vehicle maker's revenue recognition practices. In other words, they're saying NEO is claiming a lot more money than what they're actually making. Chinese media outlet Caixin reported on this, and what it comes down to is NEO's relationship with its battery asset operator, Miradori, and the company's revenue recognition methods. And I've got to say, this is quite complex here. And the fact that NEO's even set this up to be so complex it's going to raise questions. Investors are going to be looking at this and saying, NEO, why the fruit did you even do this if you thought, I mean, honestly, me looking at this now, there's a lot of conspiracy theorists. Yeah. And there's a lot of conspiracy theorists come up with crazy ideas when things are pretty straightforward. This is not straightforward. So the fact that NEO has been involved in what is setting up a very, very complex business structure does make you look at this case and go, this is weird. GIC alleges NEO misled investors by inflating revenue through Miradori, established with partners including CATL, resulting in losses for GIC. The case was temporarily stayed in a US court earlier this month, pending the outcome of a prior class action lawsuit around this issue, which has been going on for 3 years. Until that class action is resolved, NEO has no obligation to respond to the complaint. GIC accumulated 54.45 million NEO ADS shares between August 2020 and July 2022. During that period, NEO stock price, well, it crashed. And as a result, GIC accumulated massive losses. NEO ADS experienced an epic surge throughout 2020, rising over tenfold the whole year and reaching an all-time high of $67 on the 11th of January 2021. Unfortunately for this hedge fund, they purchased right after that high point. Following that peak, NEO experienced a stock collapse and their price is currently sitting at just below $7. The trigger for GIC's lawsuit, says cnavpost.com, was a short selling report released in June 2022 by US short seller Grizzly Research, as noted in the report. On the 20th of June 2022, Grizzly said that NEO was playing an accounting game similar to Valiance to inflate revenue and boost profit margins. And this may all be false, but I do wonder why this case has been dragging on for years. And now, along with US investors, one of the biggest hedge funds in the world has joined in. The short seller suspected NEO used an unconsolidated affiliate, Miradori, to exaggerate revenue and profitability, drawing parallels to the Philidor-Valiant relationship. CNF Post says that NEO subsequently conducted an internal review, concluding these allegations were false. Multiple Wall Street analysts also refuted Grizzly's claims in their research notes. GIC's allegations echo Grizzly's stance, contending that NEO cannot recognize full battery sales revenue up front when selling batteries to Miradori under its BaaS battery as a service model. So to put things straight here, GIC, this hedge fund, they have obviously gotten lawyers and accountants to look into this case, and they believe NEO is guilty. And obviously, US investors have said the same thing. Now, the media have reported that Wall Street analysts say, no, there's no case here. But the Wall Street analysts don't really have the same reasons to actually fully examine this case, which takes a lot of time and a lot of money. The Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund contends that had NEO adopted what it considers compliant installment recognition methods, its reported performance would have been significantly diminished, making it unlikely its stock price would have surged to historic highs in early 2021. Miradori was established on the 18th of August 2020 as a joint venture between CATL, NEO, Guitai Yunnan, and Hubei Science Technology Investment. In August 2020, NEO launched its BaaS, or basically its battery swapping service and its battery rental service, with Miradori serving as the manager of these leased battery assets. So the batteries, it's kind of complex, but basically the batteries that people are renting, they're not owned by NEO. They're owned by this conglomerate, essentially, which NEO is a part of. However, following Grizzly Research's short-selling report in June 2022, NEO faced class action lawsuits in August and September of 2022, filed by Say and Bahonok. On December the 14th, 2022, the Southern District of New York in the US consolidated the two lawsuits and designated plaintiffs. Now, the court has not ruled on a judgment, and it's been 2.5 years since this has been in court in the US. So the question here is, why did GIC wait 3 years to sue NEO? Cakesin, a news media source in China, cited an investor source stating that GIC's book losses may have constituted a material event, with the lawsuit representing a delayed initiation of institutional accountability procedures. GIC has an obligation to take action to demonstrate it has significantly safeguarded its fiduciary assets, and GIC have now had a long time to look at this case and to make a decision whether or not they should actually proceed with suing NEO. Now, is GIC right? Has NEO essentially lied to investors by overinflating? Basically, this case involves NEO making a book profit of around 900 million when GIC is saying they only made about 400 million in reality, and they've overinflated their revenues enormously. The truth is, I don't think anyone really knows whether or not NEO is guilty. But this case has had a huge effect on NEO's stock price. And of course, consumers in China would be, many of them well aware of, would have heard about this case and it would have damaged Neo's brand to some degree. So I don't know how this is going to play out. I've got no idea. But my suggestion to Neo is, and it would be this: if people keep on looking at what Neo is currently doing and keep on deciding, basically thinking to themselves, this is strange and fishy, maybe Neo should change this structure. Having this separate business, which is um, in a way kind of it really does appear to be over exaggerating Neo's actual revenues. That may not be a situation that investors would be confident in. So my suggestion would be to Neo, and I mean, I don't know, I'm just a YouTuber, who knows? But it does appear to be overly complex and confusing. Anyhow, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching.